Ted Cruz is worried about the future in this election. He's worried about Indiana. He's worried about his chances in the Republican primary. He did not need a kid to come out and tell him that he sucks. It's just a sign of how unpopular he actually is. And he is very unpopular, and the media has caught wind of it. And so in the video you're about to see, let's see if he will commit to supporting Donald Trump if, as seems likely, he does not win the nomination. Let's watch.
You've spent this entire interview trying to eviscerate Donald Trump. If he's the nominee, I take it you can't support him anymore, can you?
I believe if the Republican Party nominates Donald Trump, we will lose to Hillary, because when we offer Democrat light, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton on the ballot, they support the same social policy. They support the same economic policy. In fact,
I understand what you believe in the Republican Party. Can you support him? Can you tell your delegates,
Chuck,
lay down your arms and support Donald Trump? Well, you may not.
Chuck,
you realize that.
I recognize that many in the media would love for me to surrender to Donald Trump.
It's not about the media,
number one, that Hillary
Senator,
wins,
it's about the numbers. It's about the numbers. He may win. Republican voters are the ones rejecting you. This is not a media conspiracy, Senator.
Well, actually, with all due respect, the media has given $2 billion of free advertising to Donald. Donald can't answer questions about his foreign policy. He can't answer questions about how you bring jobs back to this country.
Why can't you answer the question of whether you can support Donald Trump or not? You can't answer that question. Why won't you answer that question straightforward, black and white?
Chuck, let me finish this point I'm making. Even though the media stands to make millions of dollars off of a debate, you hear radio silence from the media about no debates. They're giving up millions of dollars, and the reason is your network's executives are partisan Democrats. Why doesn't every TV station
You don't get to just say that. Wait a minute. You don't get to just say that. It's just not true, but go ahead. You just you're broad brushing here, and this is exactly what people hate about the media and politics, broad brushes, right?
Listen, the simple reality is the media almost entirely are liberal partisan Democrats. That is the reality of it.
Are you going to support Donald Trump if he's the nominee?
I am going to beat Donald Trump. We are headed to a contested convention, and we're going to win, and I'm not willing to concede this country. Listen, this is my kid's future, Chuck. It's not simply a game.
Don't you think it's important to take a stand? You just said it's a time for choosing. If it's a time for choosing, say it. For him or against him as the nominee. It's a time for choosing, is it not?
Chuck, you're welcome to lobby for support for Trump as much as possible. We are going to beat Trump because Trump's winning the nomination loses the country.
Don't you think Republican voters...
And I am not willing to give up on America. I'm not willing to give up on America.
But if you care this much about it, don't you think you saying, I can't support him if he's the nominee, doesn't light a fire and send a sense of urgency to the Republican Party?
Chuck, what I'm saying is very, very simple. If you believe in free market principles, if you want to reduce the taxes and regulations on small businesses, if you want to bring jobs back to America.
So let the record show you have not taken a position on whether you can support Trump if he's the nominee. Fair enough?
And let the record show you tried very, very hard to get me to commit to supporting Trump. The record will show that.
Oh, God. So, look, he's down 15 points right now in Indiana. Indiana's got, give or take, about 50 delegates. That's a chunk of the way of what Donald Trump needs to get to a majority of the delegates. It's not enough. He still has to continue. Now, of course, Ted Cruz cannot get enough. If he got all of the delegates, he would not have enough from here on out. He's, of course, waiting for a contested convention. He needs to stop Trump from getting to a majority. He's probably not going to win in Indiana, despite his alliance with Kasich. It's not going to be enough.
Very unclear alliance.
Unclear alliance. It fell apart very quickly. They should have stuck with it. But on top of that, I love the idea that back in the beginning, Ted Cruz was seen as this outsider who was just jumping into politics to shake things up for the Tea Party. There is no more politician than Ted Cruz. The slipperiness with which he refused to answer such a simple question.
What I don't understand is why it's so difficult for him to come out and say, no, I'm not going to support him, right? I feel like as
he's spineless.
As the candidates that, lose in the primaries, there's always this pressure for them to support the person that they just ran against. Well, you guys just viciously ran against one another, right? I think it's very disingenuous to just go ahead and support someone that you were just clowning on during the primaries. So I would have much more, well, I don't know if I'd ever have respect for him, but I would maybe possibly have a tiny amount of respect for him if he just came out and told the truth. I don't like Trump. I've been campaigning very viciously against him, as he should be, and as a result, I can't support him if he wins the nomination. That's it.
Yeah. Or at the very least, if you can't say yes because that'll make you look ridiculous, which it would, and you can't say no because the parties are vindictive and they'll make your life a living hell from here on out if you don't support it for some reason, because he's not willing to just go off into that good night, like he still wants to be a senator if he loses, then you got to at least allow him to say, look, I honestly don't know. I hate the guy. I think he'd be terrible for this country, but things could change. But if he says that, then the media's not going to let him get away with that, and people are going to judge him because they're not willing to let politicians be humans. They're not used to politicians being humans, but they also, in a lot of cases, in terms of like an unwillingness to commit to something that would be honest, they see that as flip-flopping, basically, because they've been trained to, because they see so much of it. And so I think he could honestly say, I don't know if I would support him or not, but I don't think they'd like that either. So he's kind of in a no-win situation, but it is annoying to see, like, you could say that. You could make that case to Chuck Todd, to instead just say, I'm not willing to give up on America. Nobody buys that as being genuine or honest.
I feel like he's completely, maybe not completely, but he seems oblivious to the fact that Trump is dominating in the primaries, right?
Yeah. Well,
I think he's
winning in the primaries. Again, I don't know what your devotion to this word dominating is.
Because he's dominating in the primaries.
He still literally might not get 50%. He might not be able to win. You can't dominate if you don't win.
He's won almost every state.
Okay, yes. Do you know what margins he's won those by?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. It certainly matters.
He's dominating, which is why Ted Cruz is panicking, which is why Ted Cruz feels the need to get involved with Kasich's campaign and see how they can like strategize and find ways to win specific states.
It's enough to say that Ted Cruz is panicking because Ted Cruz is losing. Ted Cruz is losing because Donald Trump is winning. That doesn't mean that he's dominating. Just because you're winning doesn't mean you're dominating.
Okay, fine. He's not.
If a baseball team wins 2-1, you can't just say they dominated.
Well, they did score twice as much.
I do not believe that Donald Trump is dominating. Okay.
No, anybody who's looked at past primaries.
Let me just say kudos to
Chucky
Todd getting it done with Ted Cruz holding his feet to the fire on all the important questions that the people want answered.
Yeah.
Are you going to support Donald? Gives a fuck. You know, it would be nice to see him do that over. Hey, now, be honest. Answer the question. TPP is going to screw over American workers. Be honest. It will screw over American work. Come on, be honest. I would love to see Chuck Todd actually hold someone's feet to fire like that on a question that actually mattered and would expose how screwed up our whole system is. That would be nice.
It's partially the topic, also partially the person. So he's talking to Ted Cruz, a person who at this point he doesn't think he really needs to care about, which certainly makes it a little bit easier because he thinks that Ted Cruz is not going to be the president. If he thought that Ted Cruz was going to win, he probably would be a little bit kinder to him.
Of course he would.